Are you installing a coolant tank and having this issue? Because today we're going to go over the solution. Alright guys, so if you are experiencing that message on the dash, we're going to go over some quick things to look at to get that resolved. First thing I like to do, once you've opened the package, I like to install the sensor into the tank outside of the truck. It's a lot easier to do it now versus once this thing's in the truck, it's going to be buried. This location's pretty tricky to get to. On the hex portion of this sensor, that's the part you actually put the wrench on and tighten it into the tank. If you look close, you're going to see two arrows. You want these arrows facing up towards the top of the tank or the hood of the truck. And what you're doing here is you're making sure that the sensor floats. If the sensor's in sideways, you can get an intermittent low level light. If it's in upside down, it'll never read properly. The tank could be empty and you would never know it, which can cause some serious issues. So you definitely want to avoid that. Before the sensor is installed into the tank, to avoid any leakage, we recommend wrapping the threads with some Teflon tape and use a couple of dabs of some silicone. Once you've wrapped the threads, use the dabs of silicone, go ahead, tighten it up into place. Now you don't have to find the tightest point of this sensor. The sensor's plastic, the tank's aluminum, so if you go and over tighten the sensor, you will break it. So just good and tight German torque spec is what you're going to want to use there. Let the silicone do the work, let the Teflon do the work. Most importantly, arrows will face up when you're finished installing this into the tank. Conveniently, we give you a factory type plug. So this is going to plug directly into the factory harness. No need for any splicing, no fancy wiring, nothing like that. Also, you're going to see a 16-pound cap. It reads 16 right on the center of the cap there. This is well within factory specification. Keeps that cooling system at the pressure that's needed.
All right, guys. So the tank's in the truck. Everything was installed properly. The arrows are facing up. Everything's plugged in as it should be. But if you're still getting a message on the dash, here's something to look out for. This isn't as common. It's more for the guys that have done major surgery on the truck. Motor's been pulled, cab's been lifted, frame off restoration, things like that. But the air conditioning pressure switch has an identical plug as the low coolant level switch does. So the plug is very similar, but if you notice, you start the truck, you have no air conditioning and a low level message, you probably got those twisted around. It's a quick, easy fix, but definitely something you want to keep an eye out for. Another reason you may be getting that low message on the dash is there's not enough coolant in the tank. So where's full? Why isn't there a sight glass? Well, for one, a sight glass doesn't tell you you're low while you're driving the truck. That is strictly for when you're checking fluids, going over your maintenance check. Yeah, you can look through and see, okay, I'm full. But just the same, pull the cap and you'll verify your level is where it needs to be. A full tank is halfway between the top of the sensor and the bottom of the fill neck here. So approximately right about there on the tank. It's about midway between the top of the sensor, top of the cap, bottom of the sensor. So our tank, much like the factory, has a overflow spout on it. This port will only leak coolant under an overpressure or overheating situation. Sometimes it will leak when you're filling up your antifreeze, but I just put my thumb on the end of it here because what happens is the coolant just pulls up in the fill neck and you can leak a little bit, but just so keep that powder coat nice and keep any mess, put your thumb here when you're topping off the coolant. A lot of guys question why we don't run a hose off of it. You absolutely can. In our opinion, it just takes away from the look of the tank. In absence of that hose, that's really never going to leak coolant unless there's an issue. The tank looks a lot nicer. It's a lot more aesthetically pleasing.
All right, guys, I hope that helped answer some of the questions or concerns that may arise or issues that may arise when you're installing our coolant tank. If you have any questions or concerns, my name's Mike. Feel free to call us or email us. The info will be down below. Shoot us a comment too if need be. We're always happy to help.